The Beyond the Fame podcast is fed by Lido Pizza. Lido Pizza never cuts corners. For menu and locations, visit LidoPizza.com. And of course, this podcast would not be possible without our longtime title sponsor, the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Rounding out September, entertainment includes Theory of a Dead Man on September 27th. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Beloved rock band Finger Eleven performs live at the Tally Ho Theater in Leesburg, Virginia on October 3rd. I spoke with lead singer Scott Anderson about the band's upcoming album Last Night on Earth, as well as the biggest hits of their career, including One Thing, Paralyzer, and Slow Chemical, better known as the WWE theme song for Kane. Hey, Scott Anderson. Hey, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Sure, my pleasure.
We are talking to the lead singer of Finger Eleven. Everybody knows the band and everyone knows your voice now. You're coming to the Tally Ho Theater, great spot in Leesburg, Virginia, on October 3rd. Before we get to the set list, let's start with the venue. You know, why do you love the Tally Ho Theater so much? To me, it's one of those gems for anyone that lives in Northern Virginia. You got to come.
I mean, I think Finger Eleven can we can adapt a show if it's like, I'm not sure if we've been there, and if we have, I'm sure we had a good time, but I'm looking forward to this time.
Yeah.
But it's if you play like a fancy place or if it's a sit down place, we can sort of adjust the energy accordingly. But it's always cool to kind of play a venue that has a little bit of history, or as soon as you walk into a place, if somebody cares about it, right? And so it's fun to play those theater shows. I think just because of the history, and it's not just another kind of rock club, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And to be fair, I'll play. I just want to play to fans that are interested in showing up to the gig.
Absolutely. Well, I can promise you, you said you can tell whether someone cares about it. I know Jack Devine and the folks over there very well. And yes, they definitely care about it. So you're in for a treat. If it winds up being your first time, if you get in and say, oh, this doesn't ring a bell, you're in for a treat. And by the way, and while you're there, Leesburg itself is like a historic, town. So if you have time before or after, walk down the main strip there and restaurants and antique shops. It's a cool little town.
That's the only tricky thing about touring. You can go to all these wonderful places and you may not have time to see all the cool things that are in there. Sometimes
Off
you
to the
see
next town. Yeah.
right. You either take off too early or you're staying at, an off-ramp hotel and you don't get to kind of take it in. But if you're lucky, you do have some time. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be good.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the music at the show a little bit. I should say the opening act, one of the opening acts is Alien Ant Farm, which everyone remembers for their awesome, badass cover of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. When I think of, that era's covers, and I'm just trying to think, I mean, maybe we've got like Atari's doing Boys of Summer, Don Henley, or Alien Ant Farm doing Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. It's like the two that sort of come to mind. How fun's it been touring with those guys? Or I guess my question should be, Annie, are you okay?
Well, this will be our first time touring with Alien Ant Farm.
Great.
But I do have to give them props because, I mean, I feel like we're kindred spirits in a way where we're both still doing it, and it's for the love of the game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's always, I think it comes across every band's radar to go like, oh, we should do a cool, clever cover, but that's harder than, it sounds.
Yeah.
So for that music to endure in any, for anything to punch through that way, it's awesome. So I think they're still making new stuff.
Yeah.
And they're also remembered for that, it's always nice to have a big number in your back pocket when you're playing live. Like, that's good. So I'm just looking forward to it because it's like there's something about a band being a real band for X number of years.
Mm-hmm.
We've crossed paths in the past but never toured together, so I know it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, when you buy a ticket to the show, you get I think you get three bands for the price of one, and you guys, of course, headlining it. So it's going to be great. Well, let's shift to your set a little bit. I know this tour, I guess, comes before you release your upcoming album in November called Last Night on Earth. You've already been putting out a couple singles like Adrenaline and Blue Sky Mystery. I think this is correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like your first new album in like 10 years, right? Since 2015.
I know it's wild. I thank everybody for their for their patience. We did put out we put out a greatest hits and attached a new song called Together Right.
Right,
That
right.
doesn't really count. This is the first new record in quite a while.
Yeah.
And I mean the truth is like we've never really taken a break or anything. It's just that we're all at different stages in life now, and we don't really do well um making music online,
Oh yeah, pandemic
exchanging.
changed everything.
Yeah, we tried, and that didn't go super well. And when we did get excited about an idea, then everybody would have these different projects, and there'd be three different projects about one song, and it would kind of we'd have to regroup and go, okay, well, where is it now?
Yeah.
So that means getting together physically and getting the project, the song back on one track. So we finally did all that. We finally did that 10 times. And yeah, the new album will be coming out in November, November 7th. And it's a good one. And I hope their patience is rewarded. I hope they think so. I mean, I know it is.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Um, you can't wait this long and put out like a terrible record.
You guys
Can't,
never put out
you
terrible
shouldn't do that.
records, but I got
Well,
your point.
we always try as hard as we can, but like there's been times where we don't have the time, we didn't have the time restriction of the traditional method where it's like you rent a big studio for a couple months, and then when that time is done, then
Yeah.
you better hope that your record is finished, man,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you got to step away. You got to time is up. So in this case, we almost had the reverse. We would write the songs over and over and over and improve them and, try not to wreck what's cool about them. And, the result is a record we're really, really proud of.
Absolutely. Well, the patience will be rewarded when the full album drops in November. But for now, come out to the Tally Ho in Leesburg October 3rd, and the adrenaline will be pumping in the room. Come on out. Well, great. Well, in addition to teasing this actual show and the new album, whenever I have famous rock star like that's I'm calling you that, baby.
Sure.
You are for my generation. You are our rock star. I love to sort of paint the band's history a little chronologically. Some of the highlights, because then we preview some of the songs you're gonna hear. It all ties together. But so I know you were born in Ontario, Canada, in '75. Is that right? But you mostly
Yep.
grew up in the town of Burlington. How close is that to Toronto? Like 45 minutes?
That's pretty much on the dot. 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
West of Toronto. Now, most of the guys have migrated there. I still live in Burlington.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't get me out of here. So here I am.
And you run a coat factory. And no,
That's
just kidding.
right. That's right. That's where most of the money comes from.
Is that
No,
actually from there?
no, it's not.
Vermont, maybe.
I think it's Vermont. It confused me as a kid. I was like, I don't see any factory like
No.
where are all the cool coats?
You're like, I'm wearing coats because it's
Yeah.
Canada and it's cold.
Yeah.
But no.
No,
No, I think that's
not a
Bernie
smart kid.
Sanders Burlington, not Scott Anderson Burlington. It's
Right.
in all seriousness, paint a picture of your childhood. What your folks do for a living, or what music did you listen to growing up? I don't know. First album you bought, something fun from childhood.
Yeah. My folks were both in real estate, and they liked music somewhat. They had like a few vinyl records. I think they had a Kenny Rogers record and
Yeah.
like a Boney M record, right? And they're good. They're good.
Yeah.
But like I think it was when I discovered rock and roll. I think and that probably starts at we used to go to like a roller rink, my brother and
Oh
I,
yeah.
and I think they would play Styx,
Nice.
and I think it was the first time I heard "I Love Rock and Roll" by Joan Jett and the
Yeah.
Blackhearts.
She's local, by the way. I'm pretty sure she's Maryland, I think.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And in fact, my mom bought us that single. Uh, so yeah, and then I was blessed to have an older brother, and I would glom off of his musical taste,
Yeah.
right? So when um he used to listen to a lot of Genesis. He and his friends would listen to old school Genesis, and I was like, "Ooh, there's something very special about this. Like, I don't
So
know
good.
what's going on here. Like,
So good.
Supper's Ready, this 30-minute like song that kind of scared me, but it was intrigued and it was melodic and still better than, it hits me more than almost any other kind of progressive rock. I know that's kind of a some people love progressive rock. I mean, I still do. So what's
Yeah.
nice about Genesis in particular is like I still like it. There's bands you liked in middle school, high school, and they maybe fall off sometimes, but it was for me for a very long time. It was just Genesis and Iron Maiden. It was those two bands.
I love that Genesis is your Genesis, first of all. And by the way, as we're recording this, literally today's episode is my interview with Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden. Dude,
Holy shit!
I'm telling you, I was freaking out. By the time this airs, he probably will have already played the Fillmore in Silver Spring. But
Amazing.
yeah, his solo tour. And his PR guy was like, you can talk to Bruce, but you're not allowed to talk about Iron Maiden. I was like, well, what are we going to talk about? But it turned out we talked football and his new beer line and comic books and pilot's license. Like, you never know where the conversation's going to
Yeah.
go.
No, I mean, what an interesting person. But like as a kid, it was like everything. It was
Yeah.
like that was a reason to, you write it on your binders and you just listen and you wear out your cassette tapes. Your friends don't understand, but then you have it all to yourself. It
Yeah.
was like, what are these scary album titles? It's like, it's not, the album covers are awesome, but the music is a little, it's easier to get into the music. It's not as intimidating as the covers would have you believe. But it
Absolutely.
was all that stuff. I alienated myself, but I couldn't help it. I did love that stuff, and I still do.
Any rush?
Yes. So
Nice.
that came later. So Rush, The Who, Beatles, Zeppelin, that was like the second wave. Like the floodgates kind of opened up and it's like, all right, maybe I could let all these other awesome
Right.
bands in. Yeah, for sure, Rush. I used to go home as fast as I could because my brother had a good stereo and he had I think one of his first CDs was Moving Pictures, but I had to beat him home from school
You had
in
to
order
rush
to
home.
I wanted to say it,
Yeah.
and I was trying to dance around it. I should have
Go
just said
for it. All puns are ready, man.
it.
Dad joke
I
mode. Let's go.
I rushed home to beat my brother into his room so I could listen to Tom Sawyer as loud as I could.
Awesome.
So yeah, really special. And so then you find those people that have the same affinity for music that you do. So I met James when I was 13, and he would bring a guitar. He could play Sweet Child of Mine, and I was like, "What is this? This guy's the most talented guy I've ever seen. He's amazing." I used to play drums. I was a drummer. I still believe I'm a drummer. A bad one, but
But
that's
in
how
your
I
heart, you're a drummer, baby.
absolutely. So we would just go, we would take every lunch hour and we had a cool music teacher that just let us into the music room and we would like, we'd play a half of a song, it'd be a Rush song. It would be sort of Moby Dick until the drum solo,
Nice.
things like that.
You
And
mentioned
then,
James. I got to remind our listeners, this is guitarist James Black, who you would eventually form the band with. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my buddy James Black, who's still in the band, that's kind of how we started. And then we split. We went to two different high schools. We're still friends, but
Mm.
that's when I found Rick. And Rick was a giant Jimi Hendrix fan, and so I got these two guys together. And when we got together, it was like oil and water because James had a little more of like punk attitude to him, and he didn't really respect where Rick was coming from musically, and they would butt heads until they started making music together. It was kind of cool.
This is Rick Jacket, who's still with the band. What,
Right.
we're just talking jackets and coats, apparently, this whole interview.
Boom. That's all
Boom, the
we're doing.
Burlington Jacket
It's
Factory.
really what it's all about.
Absolutely. But they're
Um,
both still with you. You're still going. It's so funny that you
correct.
go back to high school with all these friends.
It truly it is kind of great. And then my brother, Sean, is the bass player in the band.
Awesome.
So that's kind of great. And then the new guy, Steve, has been with us for about 12 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah. I like how the new guy is still 12.
I
It's like a
always
dozen years.
That's just it.
Yep.
Always the new guy.
New kid in town. Well, that's awesome. Thanks for reminding us sort of how you all started to come together there in the early high school days and stuff. So you were originally called Rainbow Butt Monkeys. The
Yep.
album was Letters from Chutney.
You
Yes.
got
Are
it.
you glad you changed to Finger 11?
I mean, bittersweet. What a time. What a
Yeah.
time it was. I mean, it was our, we formed before 1990 for
Mm,
sure. We were a cover band and we did, but I mean, yeah, when we discovered Tool, that was big for us.
yeah.
But the Butt Monkeys had a pretty great sense of fun. And there was more like of a funk element. There was Tool, there was Faith No More, there was Red Hot Chili Peppers. Kind of, we were taking everything we could from the record store and trying to make it, turn it into something of our own. And it was great. Like, we got a record deal. Like, I know the name sounds, I mean, it's as ridiculous as it sounds. What ended up happening is, we had a good time with it. We toured Canada for quite a while, and then we started making more music and said, the stuff that's coming out of us is just different. There's a different thing now, and we need to sort of acknowledge that. So we have to change. And the label was not happy. And we said, well, it's too bad because we have to do this. We believe in
Yeah.
this music so strongly. And um, we had this crazy conviction about it, and we said, no, we are now Finger 11. Like, listen, this stuff is awesome. Check
Yeah.
it out. And it took a very long time for everybody to come around, but they finally have. And so we we're under that. And I don't think we'll be changing anytime soon.
Yeah. So, what is in the name for folks? I mean, diehard fans probably know what Finger 11 means, but remind us for posterity on this podcast.
Well, when we decided it was time to change, we're busy in the studio, you know, um, writing, like, we're about halfway through this album, whatever the album is going to be, but we know it's not going to be Butt Monkeys. So I'm singing this song, and there's a lyric about Finger 11 pointing the other way, and it was like a very like after school special moment. They were like, the guys were in the listening booth, and they stopped and they said, like, what are you talking about? Like, what's the lyric, Fingerland?
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's just basically about like doing your own thing.
I
Like,
like
no
it.
matter no matter what anybody says, like following your own convictions type of thing. We're like, well, this is perfect. This is exactly what we're doing.
So, 10,
What
everyone else has the 10 fingers, but you're going to be the 11th going the other way. That's sort of
think
the
so.
idea.
In my head, I think that's what it was, but it definitely struck a chord with the band. And I think we broke for lunch and went, are we Finger 11 now? I think so. And I think Jay wrote like a little logo, which is still our logo, probably on like on a napkin at the
It's
restaurant we were at.
catchy.
And
It's catchy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was neat. It was there's a lot of, I'll tell you, there's a lot of interpretations of that name, and most of them not so PG,
Yeah.
but that's okay. It's
By the way,
rock
you
and
don't
roll.
have to be that PG on here. It's okay. But I
Mm.
do I do like your interpretation of like the extra finger, you know.
Well, I just constantly get people saying like, "Hey man, is Finger 11 your dick?" It's like, no, it's not. I know what you
Well, some
mean.
people do follow that, but then that, not
Hey,
always good to do.
listen, just take what we make and make it your own. That's fine.
I like your interpretation a little better. It's the extra, following going the other way with the other finger. It's like third eye blind. It's the two eyes, and
I
they're the
th
third, and you're the 11th finger. It works. It works.
yeah, yeah.
Great. Well, I'd love to go through some of the albums. So I guess the first official Finger 11 album, Tip 97, goes, I think, gold in Canada. The next one, Greatest of Blue Skies in 2000, also goes gold in Canada. So you're starting to really pop up there. Not yet really down in the States yet. But we might remember, what was it? Your song Suffocate was in Scream 3, right? Would that be your crossover breakthrough if you had to name one?
Yeah, so that was I was somewhere around 2001, and it
Okay.
was part of the second record. So we did get a little bit of traction with that.
Mhm.
I think the real big song that everybody kind of paid attention to was from the third record, which is a ballad called One Thing.
Of course. Of
And
course.
that seemed to change. I mean, it changed our touring schedule for
Yeah.
sure. You
Yeah.
know, um, we there wasn't a whole lot of time at home, starting then.
Yeah.
We went to Europe, we went to the UK, we went all over Canada and America. And it was, when you realize the power of like a single song, like, at this point we've written like, 40 songs or something, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, this okay. Like, I like it too. I know
Yeah.
there's something special about it. And it's also a neat song where people have strong emotional connections to it, and they'll tell me,
Oh yeah.
what was happening with them or how they hear the song, and I love that. I that's one of the coolest things because I know how that feels. Like I'll hear a song and I'll just some of my favorite songs, I'm not exactly clear maybe on the initial intent, but it's like, oh, it's mine, and this is what was happening to me, and this is how I feel about that song.
Yeah.
And so to be on the other side of that, awesome. But yeah, so that was around, things started to really, fire up around, that was around 2004, I would say.
The album's 2003, but yeah, the song probably is popping out in that following year. That was the third album, self-titled Finger Eleven, and the album itself goes platinum in Canada and gold in America, I believe. So you're crossing over, and just for folks, sometimes when you hear in conversation a song title, they're like, "Wait, which one's that again?" But I promise you know it. If I traded it all, if I gave it all the way for one. That's why you're the singer for one.
No, that's pretty much that's how it's done. You nailed it.
I like to remind. I can't play the song because copyright,
Right.
But
Right.
so I gotta hum a little bit. But that's the song. Everybody knows it. I think it was like what top 15, 16 in Billboard Hot 100. It was pretty. It climbed the charts. Any insights into the writing of that? That was you. It was you and James co-write, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was James and I went away to a cottage to finish up a bunch of songs, and because we were about to hit a deadline, and so we had there's a song called "Stay in Shadow," a couple other songs, but that was an exciting one. It's a heavier song,
Yeah.
and we finished that one up. Um, and then one morning, James is he got up before I did, and we're at this very nice cottage, and he's playing acoustic guitar just waiting for me to get up, and he's playing by the lake, and he's just got this riff. He's got this opening riff that ended up being on one thing, and I heard it, and I was like, okay, man, whatever. We need to stop everything and let's just take a beat and see what's happening here. Let's get something down because this
Yeah.
is this is really special.
Yeah.
And it didn't take longer than a day or two before we had like a working demo that we brought back to the guys. Now we thought it was good, but we were mostly excited about this Stay in Shadow song. So we brought it back to the guys and they listened to Stay in Shadow, like, oh, very good. And they heard one thing and they were like, oh, uh, can we hear that again? And
Fun.
that's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
When you play your friends your songs, they'll always, they're not going to say anything absolutely terrible. But if they ask to hear it again, that usually means that they truly like it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So that sort of set everybody off. Everybody got very excited about
Yeah.
this tune, and that's that third album I'm very proud of because it's very much just Finger Eleven kind of at the helm of like the writing and in control, along with Johnny K producing it. But it was more. I feel like we kind of really came into our own. Like there's a bunch of heavy stuff. There's some ballad stuff. It's a very. I think it's the there's more confidence on that record than the previous two.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of that song. But it's funny how songs come to you. I wish more would just come out of thin air
Yeah.
like that. Some can take months, and
Yeah.
this one was just. I really felt like, oh, okay, I need to get out of the way of this.
Yeah.
I need to not mess it up.
Yeah. I believe hit songs are floating somewhere in the universe beyond our understanding, and the right band at the right time, the right songwriter just kind of grabs it and is the channel for it. But you can't, it's hard to explain.
It kind of did feel that way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Totally. Well, that's an instant classic song, and that's when the world found out about you guys. But I think I might have found out about you guys maybe like a year or so before watching WWF. You did Kane's theme, a new theme. It was kind of a take on his old theme with the flames coming out of the turnbuckle and stuff. But this was called Slow Chemical. I think they were doing rock versions of a bunch of themes for an album at the time. But did you work with Jim Johnston? I think was their guy. He was sort of the unsung hero of all those themes. But how'd that come about?
Well, yeah, we got the opportunity from our label. They said, "Look, do you want to rework this theme?" And I reacted to like, yes, but I don't necessarily want to write about wrestling. I'm just going to write about
Right.
whatever happens on the page. Maybe it will be about wrestling. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I didn't want to sort of
Yeah.
get boxed in that way.
Did you know Undertaker and Kane, or were you not really a fan?
James and Rick were bigger fans at the
Okay.
time. I grew up with wrestling, but I mean, it stopped with like Junkyard Dog and Hillbilly Jim, and those were my
Right. Hulk
heroes.
Hogan era. And this was
Right.
when you play it, it's so what are you thinking when you hear that? Oh, I can, your brain's starting to go,
Well, um, we they basically sent us that file. They said, look, incorporate that riff, that little, that riff, but do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so the guys wrote a full song.
Right.
Like the verses and the choruses are all they're all finger 11.
Sure.
And so that stuff I responded to quite a bit, and that was easy for me to. I think I found a melody. I usually find a melody first, and then figure out the words later. But it definitely has a harder edge, and it is a fan favorite. And the nice thing is that like we kind of retired it for a while, and we have since brought it back. For this tour,
Really?
like
So
we're
we'll hear it
yeah.
at the Tally Ho.
You if yes, you will hear it.
Wow. Fire and
Yeah.
brimstone.
First time in a long, long time. I mean, fans have been asking for it for quite a while, and so we're gonna bring it back.
Nice. Just don't choke
Yeah.
slam your drummer.
Well, I can't
Uh,
make any promises.
you get fired up when that
That's
thing
right.
hits. I think he used it from like 2002 to '08. So like Kane used it for a while. I think it was also on the Punisher soundtrack now that I think about it. So yeah, it was out there. WWE hit you up a couple other times. I know one thing, unfortunately, this is no fault of your guys. They did a big Monday night tribute to Chris Benoit before we knew the tragic details, the double murder suicide and all that stuff. So we fans are sitting here processing our emotions. This beloved Canadian wrestler, then we realized shortly after, a total monster. What was that like for you guys? I know, again, not your fault. You agreed to do it, and then we all find out later, but that must have been awkward in hindsight, at least.
Yeah, it was. It was really tough. We're very precious about whatever we lend our music to anyway. And
Yeah.
like you say, it's kind of it did seem like the right. There's not a whole lot of time to decide.
Yeah.
Oh, should we, shouldn't we? It's just more like a yes or no.
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing. So yeah, it's incredibly unfortunate how that turned out. But you
Yeah.
know, got to move on.
I mean, the blame falls on Vince McMahon more than Finger 11. You know what I mean? Whatever. And Owen Hart, God, he died too. Gosh, man, these Canadian,
I know.
but we'll always have Bret Hart. And I think they brought back a Finger 11 song for Royal Rumble years later, Living on in a Dream. So yeah, a lot of associations with them over the years. But yeah, I think Slow Chemicals probably the biggest one. All right, well, let's go into the them versus you versus me. That's, I think, Platinum in Canada, Gold in America, opening track, smash hit. Maybe even as big as one thing. You think Paralyzer? Well, I'm not paralyzed, but I seem to be struck by you. Everybody knows that one. How's it come to you, man? That one's massive.
Yeah. So the story with that is the guys were rehearsing up at our rehearsal space. I'm not there. They just were doing some instrumental stuff.
Yeah.
And on that particular day, a friend of ours was going to go and do a photo shoot, just like take some photos of the band while they were rehearsing. Well, he's late.
Yeah.
And so the guys were looking at their watch, like, okay, well, we can't wait for this guy. We're going to pack up. They're packing up. He pulls into the driveway. He's like, are you guys done?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, okay. Well, why don't we just set up and you can just take some photos
Yeah.
real quick? And they're like, well, while we have all these instruments, let's just actually jam again. Who cares? Because it's going to feel weird if we don't.
Yeah.
So they start jamming, and this riff comes to them. The riff that is the beginning of Paralyzer. I think they get the chorus first, and they're very excited. And so the photo shoot ends, and they send this file to me. They send this what a rough version of Paralyzer.
Just the riff,
It's
that part, or
it's a verse and chorus. I
okay.
know it's a verse and chorus, and I listen. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like this,
Yeah.
it has like a dance. There's something like cool about it. I feel like I'm supposed to. Um, I'm just reacting honestly to this song, and I'm like, wow, this sounds like I'm in a club that I'm not supposed to be at. Like it sounds like I'm having like I'm there. There's all kinds of cool shit going on, and I don't belong here. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'll write about.
Yeah.
That's how I'll write about. And that was again, like it took an afternoon. I still have this sketch. Sometimes there's pages and pages that you fill in your workbook to try to get to the chorus, but Paralyzer, it's maybe a page and a half. There wasn't much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but again, like you get those special moments, and like kind of time stands still, and a few hours later, you have have something special.
Yeah.
It took a little bit of convincing. I remember we thought we had something great, and the label was like, yeah, okay, well, when it came to discuss like what the single was going to be for that record,
Mhm.
it's like, guys, it's Paralyzer. Come on, you know. And we had to push them a little bit, but eventually we all got on the same page, and you know, rest is history. But yeah, big song.
Unbelievable. I think Paralyzer tops the US mainstream rock chart and the US alternative airplay chart. So like literally it's that thing's everywhere. I feel like everybody knows these songs. Paralyzer, and one thing for sure will be played forever on alternative rock stations are everywhere. Bravo, sir. Well, you've been very generous with your time, so we won't do a deep dive in all the albums, but I assume Life Turns Electric and Five Crooked Lines, will there at least maybe be a song or two in the set off of one of those?
Yeah, we try to cover them. We try to listen. You know, like we put ourselves in the fans' position a lot of the time. Where
Yeah.
it's like if gonna go, you're gonna go out to a show. What songs do you want to hear? You know, you're gonna hear songs from I think almost every record,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're gonna hear a couple new ones because we're very excited about the new stuff, and it's getting good reaction. But yeah, there's not a lot of not a lot of obscure stuff. There's you know
Yeah.
there's but you know we'll try to play some classics and some fan favorites as well.
Well, we can't wait. And again, like you're saying, it's all those hits from all the albums we've discussed and more, as well as the new album. Last Night on Earth is going to be coming out in November. So come to Talio to hear Adrenaline, Blue Sky Mystery, and some more teasing that new album. We're excited. Hey, final seconds. I want to just take a sort of a step back in our final seconds here. Just sort of your place in the trajectory of music. You were naming Rush and Genesis and Tool, and and then we got you guys around late 90s, early 2000s. I feel like there were a lot of Canadian rock bands that crossed over around that time. It was you guys and 3 Days Grace and Nickelback, and I always loved Our Lady Peace, Not
Yep.
Enough, and Somewhere Out There, and whatever, all those songs. Did you feel a kinship? I think maybe you even shared a producer with Our Lady Peace at some point.
Yeah, I mean, Our Lady Peace in the early days was they were incredibly kind to us. We got to open for them, and as they broke things open along with, I would say, I Mother Earth, you know, where
Yeah.
it's like there was some big rock, there was a lot of rock sound coming out of Canada all of a sudden. And so we were a band, we're like, this is great. These guys
Yeah.
are awesome, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, we did. We shared a producer for the first two albums, Arnold Lanny, who is a musical genius,
Yeah.
you know, and he will put you through your paces. And you
Yeah.
know, if you're lucky, you will get it. You get a great record out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they Our Lady Peace took us under their wing, and then yeah, then you had 3 Days Grace, and you know, they're still taking over the planet. You
Yeah.
know, bless them. They've been
Yeah.
really wonderful to us too. So I'm not sure. It's just there was a really there was a great live music scene, and we got to kind of cut our teeth through that. And we played
Yeah.
with all kinds of different bands, thrash bands, folk bands. It didn't matter. There was like
Yeah.
seven bands in this one
Yeah.
on this one bill, and we came up with we came up through a diverse music scene
Yeah.
and grew and learned from our mistakes, and then just
Yeah.
we're lucky enough to stay together.
Yeah.
And you know, we got to become one of those rock bands from Canada.
Absolutely. That's a good title to have. I mean, there's been a ton of musicians going back to the late Gordon Lightfoot. Like, Canada's been cranking them out, but that wave specifically, maybe just because I was, in high school and then early college, it's special to me. So thank you for all the memories. You're the soundtracks to our lives, our formative years, so hats off. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, Scott Anderson, lead singer of Finger 11, come to the Tally Ho Theater in Leesburg, Virginia on October 3rd. Get your tickets now ahead of the new album in November. Thanks, man.
Thanks, buddy. This is good.
Thanks. Seriously. This is awesome. You've been great.
Wicked. Thanks, man. See ya.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.